Hi there, this is Terry from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a centre step card. I used the Happy Birthday to You stamp set for the main image and the sentiment, and some of our best dressed designer series paper for the background. Inside, I've added a panel where you can write your message. So let's get started. These are all the measurements you need for the various elements required to create this project. So if you're interested in reproducing it, you can take a screenshot and refer to it later. I'm using lovely lipstick for my card base this time. Now, if your standard card is 8.5 by 11, this will measure 11 inches by 5.5 inches. If your standard card is A4, this should measure 28.7 centimeters by 14.8 centimeters. So I've just cut that A4 length by 1 centimeter. Now the only reason I've done this is because I wanted the base of the card to be able to fold inwards, and then I can close the front of the card and it would fit nicely into a standard size envelope. Please note that from now on in this video, all the metric measurements I give you, so centimeters, will be for A4 users, and all the imperial or inches measurements will be for 8.5 by 11 inch users. I'm starting with the cutting and I'm placing my card into the trimmer with the short side across the top. Now I'm going to line up my right hand edge first of all at 3 centimeters or 1.25 inches, and I'm going to cut from 2.5 centimeters to 13 centimeters or 1 inch to 5.25 inches. Then I'm going to do the same on the left hand side. So I'm lining up my left edge up at 3 centimeters or 1.25 inches, and I'm going to cut from 2.5 centimeters down to 13 centimeters, which is 1 inch to 5.25 inches. You should end up with 2 parallel cut lines on one end of your card. Now for the scoring. You want to place your card into the trimmer with the longest side across the top and the cut lines towards the left. Now we're going to score down from the edge of the cardstock to the cut line, and then at the bottom from the cut line to the bottom edge. The first score lines are to be at 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. So you're going from the top edge to the cut line, and then from the second cut line to the bottom edge. The next one will be at 5 centimeters or 2 inches, and you're just going to repeat it. So you're going from the top edge to the cut line, and then from that second cut line to the bottom edge. The last one of these will be at 13 centimeters or 5.25 inches. So again, you want to score the top edge and then the bottom edge. So you should have 3 score lines running above and below those cut lines. The next score line will be at 10.5 centimeters or 4.25 inches, and this is just between the cut lines. And then finally we're going to score at 21 centimeters or 8.5 inches, and this time it will go all the way down the card. Next, I want to cut the 2 pieces, the card and the paper, that fit the front of the card, and I cut this all in one piece, so I'm going to show you how I did that. Now I'm using this trimmer because it's got centimeters on the vertical ruler. You should have seen on the measurement screen that you need 2 pieces, one of Petal Pink card and the other of the Best Dressed Designer Series paper. So we're going to start with the card. Now it goes into the trimmer with the long side across the top, and I'm lining up the right hand edge at 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches, and I'm going to cut down to 8 centimeters or 3 1/4 inches. Then I'm going to turn my cardstock anti-clockwise. I'm going to line up that right hand edge at 2.1 centimeters or 7/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to cut down to the 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inch mark, which is the cut line. So just cut down to the cut line. Turn your cardstock back, and this time we're working on the left hand edge. I'm lining it up at 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches, and I'm going to cut down to 8 centimeters or 3 1/4 inches. Then I'm going to turn my cardstock clockwise this time and line up that left hand edge at 2.1 centimeters or 7/8 of an inch, and again cut down to the cut line, which is at 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches. And that's this piece complete. The process for the paper is very similar to what we've just done. So it goes into the trimmer with the long side across the top, and I'm going to line up that right hand edge at 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches and cut down to 8 centimeters or 3 1/4 inches. Then turn anti-clockwise and line up the right hand edge at 1.7 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch and cut down to the cut line. So again 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches. Turn your paper back, line up the left hand edge now at 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches and cut down to 8 centimeters or 3 1/4 inches. Turn your paper clockwise and line up the left hand edge at 1.7 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch and cut down to the cut line, again 3 centimeters or 1 1/4 inches. And that's our paper piece complete, and all these will layer together perfectly. The waste pieces that you just cut away on both the card and the paper can be cut down and used on the side panels of your card if you want to. Now I'm going to use the Petal Pink card, but I'm not going to use this designer series paper. So I've cut a different design down to use on my card this time. I've gone ahead and layered up all the mats that I need on my card. So I've got my front section, my side sections, my bottom section and the inside panel. I can now position the front panel and the side panels onto my card. You could fold your card first if you'd prefer to do so, but I always like to add my decorative panels when the card is flat if I can. Then I can flip the card over and add the message panel and the panel for the base of the card. I'm now going to fold the card. Now most of the score lines need to be mountain folds. It's only the second score line up underneath the side panels that will be a valley fold. You just want to gently press all the score lines to start off with, and then you'll find the card will fold itself almost. Then you can flatten out the card and burnish all those fold lines with your bone folder. I have a small scrap piece of normal weight Whisper White card that I'm going to use for the sentiment, and this is the Happy Birthday to You stamp set, so I'm using the main image and the Celebrate, and I'm going to stamp using lovely lipstick ink. I'm using one of the layering ovals dies to cut out the sentiment, and this is the second size up from the smallest plain oval. The largest plain oval I've used to create a mat to go under my image panel, and then my image panel will be cut out using the largest scalloped oval. I've also used the second size up of the scalloped ovals to create a mat to go under my sentiment. Once everything's cut out, I can layer the sentiment up and the image panel. I've added dimensionals to the back of my image panel and sentiment panel. I've already coloured and cut out everything I need for my image panel, and I've used the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers to colour everything. Now I'm going to create this panel in 3 layers. So I have my base panel here, and I've only coloured properly the cake stand, the actual cake. The cake stand was Daffodil Delight, light and dark. The cake was light petal pink. And then I've coloured the little round flowers in Daffodil Delight as well. The rest of that first panel I've just coloured in 1 layer. Now this second layer I've coloured properly the leaves, which are in Old Olive, light and dark, and the little flower buds at the top, those were in Lovely Lipstick, light and dark. Now my final layer will just be the flowers themselves, and these again I've coloured properly because they're going to show. The ones underneath it won't show. And I've used the light and dark Lovely Lipstick, and for the centre I've used the dark Daffodil Delight. So that's how my flowers will layer up, and the reason I coloured the layers underneath was because I'm going to shape the top layers, so some areas will show just slightly. For the middle layers I'm going to shape the leaves mainly, and I'm just using my bone folder to do this, so you want to be very gentle because you don't want to pull the leaves off. If you run your bone folder underneath them, that will help them to curl, and then you can just press them up at the base. Now the little flower buds I want to curl up, that's why I flipped the little flower over. And then you can shape the flower just by using a ball tool or an embossing tool and applying pressure and a circular motion just to get the edges to raise up. So I'm going to do that for this layer as well. Then I'm going to shape each of the top layer flowers in the same way, just to get the edges to curl up a little. I've gone ahead and added dimensionals to my middle layer, and I've just cut tiny pieces of dimensional and added them behind all the raised areas, so the little flower buds and the leaves, as well as in between the 2 flowers. I'm now going to add glue behind each of the flower heads and then position them onto my panel. I can then position my top layer, again just by adding glue to the centre of those flower heads and then placing them on my panel. I can then add the panel to the front of the card. And then I can position the sentiment. If you find that the front of your card won't catch on that sentiment panel, then just give all your score lines another burnish to make them nice and crisp and try again. And that's it, my card is now complete. A beautiful card. This paper is absolutely gorgeous. And here's another look at my original one. I think I prefer my newer one, the one I've just created. I like the contrast of having different paper on the side panels. Throughout this video I've given you the measurements for 8.5 by 11 inch standard card users, and this is the result that you will get when you create your card using that standard card. It will be narrower overall than the A4 version, and the base layer will be shorter. It still works, you can still build your card exactly as I have, and it will stand up. It just stands up a little straighter. Now you could, if you wanted to, instead of using that oval for the sentiment, you could have a strip sentiment, which will give you a little more room for your card to stand, but it will work either way. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.